What's good, folks? It's me again, SAP Dude. I do hope you're doing great wherever you are and whatever you're doing. In this video, I will cover another topic from plant maintenance/asset management area. We will talk about checklists. Let's do this thing. As always, we start with a business case. And if you have watched any of my videos before, you know this place well. Last year, we implemented here together SAP S 4HANA EAM module, Texas Workshop. This year, they would like to start using S4HANA service. Make sure you saw my other videos related to that topic. They also asked me some time ago how to implement PM checklists inside SAP, how to make it right. And today, I will explain it also to you. Let's start with the business case first. One of the technicians, Pasha Dankov, received the following order from the maintenance planner. He has to perform complete maintenance of the following vehicle. The list of steps, things to do, we see now on the screen. It's a paper document which he printed 5 minutes ago. He has to start with the general inspection first, check for visible damages of the vehicle body, check fluids and levels, tires and wheels, and so on. Each of the activities or checkpoints has to be checked. But there are also some things which will require specific values. For example, fuel pressure test. The technician has to enter specific value there, measured during the test. Let's do it with him first, and then we will discuss how SAP EAM can support this thing. So first task to do, general inspection. We are going around the vehicle to see if there is something wrong. And exactly. We see the rear right light is damaged. We add the comment on the checklist. First task is done, we go with the fluids, engine oil, let's refill it. And coolant and mark as done. Okay, brake fluid as well. Tires and wheels. The pressure is fine, it's time to check the tire tread depth. It's also okay, and we enter the value on the checklist. The tires are in good condition, no cracks or damage. It's time for the brakes and suspension. Brake pads, the front ones should be replaced, so not okay, comment 2 times front. Brake discs are fine. Now we gotta take the car to another building to the suspension test. As we see, it's also fine, so we mark it on the paper checklist. Engine and performance. We launch the engine, no unusual noises, so we mark as okay. Compression test, we gotta take this reading and maintain on the paper. Fuel pressure test, same thing, we enter the value. The last task is to do the test drive. Let's go for it. The car is operating pretty smooth, brakes work fine. There are no vibrations or weird sounds, and the gears are shifting perfectly. We mark all these things on the paper like this. Good job, we've just finished together a simple paper checklist for maintenance. Let's go back to the workshop and have some talk about the theoretical part. What is a checklist? Let's put a simple definition on the screen. Checklist is a list of tasks or steps that need to be done to make sure everything is completed properly. In SAP PM/EAM, it's used to guide maintenance workers on what to check, fix or inspect for assets like machines, etc. It helps to keep things organized, to make sure nothing is missed, to follow safety and quality rules. If we come back to our business case, we had 6 various tasks to do, like general inspection, checking fluids, checking tires and wheels, and so on. Each of the steps had some stuff behind it, right? For example, during general inspection, we checked the body of the vehicle, if there is any damage. Engine and performance, we were listening the engine, if there is some noise coming from it. We did compression and fuel pressure tests. This is a simple example of a checklist, but those can be really complex. Moreover, for example, in pharma industry, those checklists can be really long, can require approvals, for example, from quality team, can be GXP regulated, be part of certain SOPs and stuff. So depending on your use case, it may happen checklists are not needed at all, and in other projects it will be a must-have. Now let's find out how SAP PM/EAM supports this requirement. Let's make it straight already. There is not one the best solution for it. The pros and cons you will see just now. During the explanation, we will of course use the Texas workshop example we just went through. Number 1. Checklist as a PM task list. This is the simple solution. I believe you know what PM task list is. It's a list of predefined tasks/operations which you can then use in preventive maintenance, during maintenance plan creation, or even for corrective maintenance during work order creation. The following checklist can be replicated in SAP as follows. It can be a general or equipment task list. Let's give it a name like vehicle maintenance checklist. Now we go inside, we have to define the tasks. Those will be as follows. General inspection, the second one fluids and levels, third one tires and wheels, fourth brakes and suspension, engine and performance, and test drive. You remember, each of the checkpoints has specific procedure or steps to be followed. For example, the general inspection has check for visible damage to the vehicle body. And those can be maintained in each of the steps as a long text, as an additional description. So I do it quickly for all the tasks. What is the outcome? Let me show you quickly. I'm using S4HANA, of course. We create a maintenance order. I believe you know what it is. If not, make sure you check my whole playlist about SAP PM. Now I will pull in the task list which we just created. We see 6 steps. Each of them has the additional description inside. Now when I quickly switch to the work execution part in the Fiori app as a technician, I see all these things and I can start doing the work. Let's say I finish the first checkpoint, I perform so-called confirmation, and it's done. Pros of this approach? Simple to build, to implement, to migrate, and to reuse. Why? We use general task lists so it can be created once and used for other objects, equipment, functional locations, etc. What about the cons? It's not a real checklist actually. By doing confirmations, we only say that we did the work. But what if, for example, we notice some damage on the car? We need to be able to document it in the system. There are 2 ways. The standard one is we save the confirmation and create so-called follow-on notification. Technician can create a new notification linked to this order. Disadvantages? Simple action, but too much time consuming. Another option can be some small development. You see this field here, reason for variance? Many companies do not use it. It's a plant-specific configuration specifically for time confirmation. If we define 2 simple codes like not OK or OK, we can build some logic. If it's not OK, technician enters in the confirmation text what was wrong. In this case, I enter the right rear light is broken and we save it. What I meant by small development? Selection of the non-OK code should trigger creation of a follow-up notification so maintenance planner can easily see it and figure out where it comes from. So these codes can help at some point, but let me challenge it further. You see, for example, the step perform compression test. If you require to capture the results of the compression test, you cannot actually do it. Of course, you can enter it as a text, but we don't do inefficient work here, right? So that's why we have the following summary. Pros of checklists as task lists. Easy to implement, to migrate, and to reuse for other assets. Able to capture qualitative records by using catalogs. Cons. Checkpoints maintained as a long text. Only qualitative data can be captured. Limited functionality, not reflecting the real checklist. Next option, checklist as a DMS attachment. Do you know what DMS stands for? It's a document management system, and it can be part of your SAP ecosystem. It means once it's configured, you can store various documents there and link them with many objects. Example from PM area, equipment, functional location, maintenance plans, and so on. And also task lists. How does it work in practice? First, we need the document. I call it Vehicle Checklist 001. We have the PDF with all the details inside. I also upload it to SAP by creating so-called DMS document. We can save the number. Now we create a task list like we did previously and call it again Vehicle Maintenance Checklist. But this time there is a change in the operations. Previously we maintained all the 6 operations separately. This time we create just one and call it Perform Vehicle Maintenance according to the checklist 001. Now we assign the DMS document to the task list like this. The result is following. The PDF checklist will be also part of a work order, which is based on this task list. Is it the best approach? Let's see the pros and cons. Pros: easy to migrate your existing paper checklists to SAP. Simple master data maintenance, as we have a task list with only one operation. And I think that's the only advantage here. Cons: it's not a paperless approach. If the technician wants to record the results, either he modifies the PDF and re-uploads it, or has to print the checklist, fill it out, scan it, and upload again. It's a waste of time, paper, and in general the approach is way far from being efficient. We are not really collecting the data. It will be still on the paper. The data which is entered cannot be analyzed in a massive structured way. The information which is entered does not have any influence on the system unless someone checks it and, for example, manually creates a follow-up activity. If this kind of approach works for you, of course go for it. Maybe in your implementation you need a simple, small solution, and then the DMS is the way to go. Let's go with another one. Checklist as measuring points. I guess you know what measuring points are in SAP, especially if you saw one of my videos about it. If not, quick explanation. Measuring point is an optional PM master data which allows us to capture quantitative and qualitative data related to specific equipment or functional location. For example, oil temperature of a CNC machine, or information like noise level, where we have, for example, 3 options: quiet, moderate hum, loud, grinding. Let's take our vehicle checklist and see how we can do it with SAP measuring points. I will repeat myself. Measuring point is linked to specific functional location or equipment. It cannot be linked to more objects, and it cannot be used like, for example, general task list. It's one-to-one relationship. We go to relevant Fiori application, enter the vehicle, and we can start creating the points. What we will do, we take all the things which I've just highlighted on the right side and we gotta reflect them as individual measuring points. Check for visible damage to the vehicle body. This is an example of qualitative measurement. And here we will measure the extent of damage. So for example, none, minor, moderate, severe. And this is something I gotta configure as a catalog. Similar like we did before for the operation confirmation, I assign then the catalog over here and save it. Now I will take, for example, this one, check fuel pressure. This can be again qualitative, like okay, not okay, but this time I want to be more specific and we will use quantitative approach. This one will be measured in bar, of course, that's why we need a specific characteristic beforehand. I will use this one in my system. We see the other data gets populated. To save us some time, the other measuring points I will create in the background. Let's look together at the paper checklist to the right. We'll quickly categorize what type of measurement it is. Everything what you see as qualitative, it will operate with so-called catalogs and specific codes, which have to be configured beforehand. The quantitative ones will use characteristics, so master data which has to be maintained in the system beforehand as well. And again, all these measuring points are linked only to the one specific equipment, which in our case is GMC-Then. What we gotta do now is having the task list, and here we follow the same logic as for the MS approach. I create a task list with one operation saying perform maintenance according to the checklist, but this time I won't attach the PDF. Our checklist in this case is the list of measuring points. And normally in SAP ECC, for example, I should assign those measuring points as PRTs. But in S4HANA, we can leverage the new Fiori app, which you already know, perform maintenance jobs. And this one works in a bit different way. So let's do it. I created this order, we got one operation, let's release it and dispatch to the technician. The technician sees the operation and goes inside. Now instead of using time confirmation pop-up, we just mark OK, the work has started right now. And when it comes to the checklist, we switch over here to Measurements tab. In the drop-down, I select the header. It means we will see all the measuring points which are relevant for the asset from the header level of the order. It means GMC-Then. And now we see all the measuring points, our checklist. So technician can start documenting the work, visible damage of vehicle body, there were some minor dents, fuel pressure, for example, 3 bars, compression test, and so on. All these things are saved in the system as measurement documents and can be easily analyzed. They also feed your SAP system, for example, for so-called condition-based maintenance. Good job. That would be it. Finally, let's talk about pros and cons of this solution. Pros: standard PM solution, ready to be used. Measurements are well documented with a reference to specific equipment or functional location. Measurement documents can trigger automatically specific follow-up actions, like for example a notification once the reading is above specific range. Measuring points enable condition-based maintenance. Cons: the biggest con is the data. Measuring points are limited only to this specific equipment or functional location. It means for every single equipment number, even if it's the same type like 10 identical pumps, you need to repeat the same activity. So the whole data migration part is a nightmare, and what is even more important, maintenance of this data will be a huge task. If you acquire new assets frequently, imagine creating every time the measuring points, setting up or modifying maintenance plans for this specific asset. In most of the companies, it will be an overkill. That's why we switch to another option, which is custom development. How could it work? You could have a custom table where you store all the checklist templates. Each checklist has of course an ID, description, task sequence number with description and the type, if it's only a check or a quantitative or qualitative entry. For this purpose, I created the following prototype in GUI with my ERP UI kit in Figma. So let's say we have the template here. Now once the work order gets created, a checklist gets attached to it. So it could be part of the task list, or maintenance planner assigns it manually to the order. Now when it comes to execution, we would need another custom transaction or maybe extend the PM order confirmation screen like this. If the checklist is assigned, we have the following button activated. We are moved to a custom screen, we mark the things as done. We can also add a comment and then we do the final confirmation. If, for example, some of the checkpoints was not set, technician should not be able to do the final confirmation and the following pop-up shows up. This is GUI, right? But ideally we should support this scenario from Fiori app's perspective, so having a custom UI5 application. Then I see it like this. We are in the app Perform Maintenance Jobs. We see already the information, checklist, assigned. We go inside, document the results and finish the work. Once finished, all the records got saved in the backend of course. We got a custom report, ZPM checklist results, where we see the results of each checklist with a reference to specific PM work order and operation. We also see the status, who did it, and comments if applicable. Pros: scalable, easy and intuitive solution. Of course, depends how you develop it. Simplified process. We avoid using measuring points, we avoid unnecessary data redundancy and huge effort of data management in the future. Improved accountability. We can easily track the progress of each checklist for each work order. We got an audit trail as well. The reporting is quite easy. Cost efficient. Sure, we need extra effort for development, but in the future we are not dependent on third-party solutions, licensing costs and stuff. Let's talk about the cons. Initial development effort for sure. Limited out-of-the-box features. It's a custom thing, so automatically we won't be able to leverage any new functionalities which come with S4 in the future, like predictive maintenance and so on. Of course we can do it, but it would need additional development. Support for custom code and tables will be needed in case of issues or future developments. It's not only about checklist development. Enhancement of work order, task list, confirmation screen, etc. is needed. So it will be a big rise-up. Option number 4, inspection checklists. I mentioned there is new stuff in S4HANA and this is one of it. Inspection checklists, a new feature available from S4HANA 2021. It's a cross-modular thing, a bridge between SAP EAM and QM, quality management. If you want to know in detail how it works, Here is my dedicated video for it. I also have a separate article on my website where I describe how to use it. As I said, it's a combination of two modules, EAM and QM. This is how it could work. We have the order, we have the checklist tab over here, and we can record the results. Yes, with GUI it's a nightmare, but there will be a standard Fiori app for it. There's also a mobile app called SAP Service and Asset Manager from SAP, which covers this functionality as well. Let me show you how it works. We got a work order, like for instance this pump inspection. I go down to the checklist section. And over here we got all the checkpoints which I gotta capture as a technician. This time these are not measuring points, these are so-called inspection characteristics which have to be defined in QM module. Again, if you want to know more, check out my other video about this functionality or my blog. Let's talk about the pros and cons. Pros: standard new solution from SAP. It means it will be supported and developed by them further. Proper digitalization of checklists, analytics and reports. Integrated with QM, giving wide range of functionalities depending on your industry. Cons: at the same time, QM integration may be also some kind of a disadvantage. We need to maintain additional master data related to QM. We need to define special classes for our assets, maintain checklists in our task lists, etc. The logic how it works, again, you will find it on my blog. Process, if done via GUI, is not user-friendly at all, plus multiple steps are required like results recording, usage decision, etc. That would be it when it comes to the inspection checklist with SAP. And this way we made it to the fifth option, SAP Dynamic Forms. New product released in 2024 based in the cloud platform called SAP BTP, which can be integrated with your SAP S4HANA or even ECC system. How does it work? You are equipped with a form designer like this one. Taking Texas Workshop as an example, I create a quick form with all the necessary checkpoints. Moreover, it's possible to integrate this form with measuring points. It means recording the data with the form results in generating measurement documents in the backend system. This is BTP-based solution. It requires additional license, so additional cost of course. The forms can be part of standard Fiori apps for asset management like perform maintenance jobs, etc. They can be also launched via Service and Asset Manager application. If you got a custom mobile solution for plant maintenance, it's also possible to embed this functionality there. Pros, I've just mentioned. Plus, if you have lots of paper documents, it may be the way to go for you. It does not have to be a pure checklist. You digitalize it like I've just showed you and voila. Cons, yeah, additional licensing is the main one. It's a new product, so hopefully it won't have many cons. Moreover, in your SAP career, you will also hear something called FSM Smart Forms. FSM stands for Field Service Management. It's a separate SAP product supporting service work. And it has something called Smart Forms. Since we are talking about S4HANA, I won't cover this product and its functionality here. However, I would like you to keep it in mind, on your radar. And that would be it. I hope I gave you a nice overview how to manage checklists with SAP EAM. As you noticed, there is not the best solution for it. Everything depends on your scenario and industry standards. And we also have to make it clear, SAP is not the only company in the world who supports asset management area with checklists. There are also other players who do it well, or I would even say better. So before you implement something, make sure it ain't an overkill for your company or your client. The good stuff about things which we were talking about in this video is that they are standard in SAP. Okay, only the custom development was not part of it, of course. If you find the video useful, consider subscribing, sharing with other folks and dropping your feedback. If your goal for this year is to learn SAP S4HANA Plant Maintenance /EAM, I got my own course which will help you do it quicker and more efficient. 17 hours of knowledge, practice, configuration, everything. Thanks for now and see you in another video. Cheers!